I'll be brief as well. And I think Senator Klobuchar made a key point about the quick response in rebuilding the Minneapolis Bridge, which collapsed because of a design flaw of undersized steel gusset plates that eventually factored in and generated the collapse. It points out what we're capable of doing when we want to cut through the red tape and move projects to completion. Mr. Herman, when you talk to state highway officials, do they clamor for an infrastructure bank or for Congress to finally fix the Highway Trust Fund?
I think the highway DOT people are looking for long-term funding. They need that for their planning.
The trust fund, yeah.
They need to reauthorize the surface transportation.
When you talk to ports, do they seek an infrastructure bank, or do they want the Harbor Maintenance Fund fixed and distributed?
I think they probably want both.
I'll bet you that's not the case. You talk to airport managers, are they asking for an infrastructure bank and for Congress to finally fix the Aviation Trust Fund long term?
The FAA, they want to fix that.
I think so. In every case, I talk to my local officials making those decisions. They want the long-term certainty. One of the points Mr. Edwards makes that I thought intriguing is that at one point in America's history, it was public sector funding the infrastructure. Then it moved to more private sector funding, and now we've sort of reversed course and moved back into a great deal of public sector funding. But other countries have moved the other direction in order to finance. Can you really quickly, I only have about 30 seconds left, can you tell us why they're doing that and why we ought to look at that model?
Well, I think a lot of European airports, for example, are private. London's Heathrow, of course, and Gatwick are private. Sydney and Melbourne, Australia, have private airports. And as I said, seaports have been privatized all over the place. In '83, Thatcher privatized most British seaports. Seaport dredging in Britain is private. There's a company called UK Dredging. It basically goes around. They contract with the private ports if they want dredging. I think in a lot of countries it's not an ideological thing. They just the government sector doesn't have the money anymore, so the same problem we have. Deficits are high, and so they're going to the private sector. So again, I don't think it's an ideological thing. I think they're getting good results. And as I said, because of that, these companies that are at the forefront of this privatization, they're virtually all foreign these days. Australian, Canadian, Spanish. These companies are going around the world and building infrastructure. And these should be American companies. I would love American companies to become the infrastructure experts and then go around the world exporting this knowledge. But unfortunately, it's the other way around.
Again, thank you to all the witnesses today.
I have to run out the door, but I want to make sure that Congressman